Hello there, Sarah from 17 once again, introducing you to some more Dark Souls, more PvP, invasion variety. And as Jean-Luc Picard would say, this is the final frontier. And that's who we're up against, so hopefully this guy's a cool player and we'll have an interesting video. But, oh god, this guy's not a cool player, this guy's a massive cock. So, that's a Phantom. And he's wearing full Paladin Leroy gear, which means he's extremely high level, and that weapon will hurt if it connects. So I start fighting this guy, and he has no interest in a fight. He wants to lure me to this gate. So you've got to ask yourself, why is he luring me to this gate, and what is beyond it? Well, what's beyond it to the left is the host waiting to mash me down. And these people are farming phantoms. There's 2 of them, and all they're doing is they're luring phantoms into an unfair fight, and then they're winning, and they're even changing to I forget its name, I think it's the Mask of Avarice, which is basically the head of a mimic, and it gives you more souls when you win. And did you see him then? That was the host, who's got reflexes like dog shit and he's lagging. So he's wearing complete Knight Lautrec gear, but it doesn't matter, because it's over. So 1 lag stab and I'm dead. And I sent this guy a message, I was like, look at him, that's the helmet, that gives you more souls, dickheads. Full on. Oh god, the day, when will this day end? So this guy is officially the biggest bell end I've ever fought on Dark Souls, because combine lag with this Dragon Slayer bow, and he hits you when he doesn't hit you. And I couldn't do a thing. I could not do a thing. I couldn't get behind him. I couldn't interrupt him. And this is it. This is the fight. I am going to lose to this. And it's so much bullshit. It's not even hitting me. I got so mad. So mad. And look at him flipping around with Darkwood Grain Ring in full giants. This guy's a fucking prick. If I'd have been in the same room with that guy, I would have killed him. I would have literally choked him. I would have forced things down his throat. That ain't even a threat, that's a promise. But this is a guy wearing full havels, a knight shield, and wielding a halberd. So it immediately tells me he's either got a lot of style or a lack of it, or he's a new player. And I'm using something called the Life Hunt Scythe, and you're wondering if you knew what that bar is that's filling up. So that is called a bleed bar. When that bar gets full, I will lose half of my life, and that is the balancing of this weapon, because this weapon is really good, but it damages you if you overuse it. So an interesting setup I've been playing around with is carrying 2 scythes, using this one until my bleed gets high, and using the other one to finish off the bleed on the opponent. I've not quite mastered it yet, and this guy's fishing for backstabs, but luckily enough, that is what happens when you damage each other at the same time. It does a backstab animation but doesn't do any damage, unlike that one, which that backstab right there tells you a few things. It tells you that this guy doesn't know you can't flask after a backstab because you don't have enough time, and it also tells me that he's not very high level, so he's probably lower than me or on my level, because his backstab did no damage. So unfortunately I just interrupted a guy playing through the game who's not very good at it, but you can't control who you invade, people, you just invade. And for every player that's like that who you destroy because they're not very good, you get one of those guys that just killed me with that bow. And oh god, it's literally, Dark Souls PvP is like a bad relationship. When it's good, it's amazing, but when it's bad, by god is it fucking bad. And this guy is role-playing as this mixture of Havel and Smo, and I know immediately that this is a really, really slow weapon to swing, but if he hits me, it does a lot of damage. But I also know that this character who I'm fighting, he's really heavy, so I should be able to punish him and get backstabs in, and luckily enough, the lag isn't too bad, so that's exactly what I do. And if you're wondering why that did so much damage as this guy runs away, I'm using an S-Stock. It's a Chaos S-Stock, level 4. And it has one of the highest criticals on the game, so backstabs and parries with this weapon are amazing. I've also put on the Hornet Ring, because I don't have a secondary that will benefit me when I use the red tier stone. And this is the guy who hit me with the bow, if you remember. This is the same kid. And I do apologise for saying kid. I've been watching a guy called Optic Scump, and he says it all the time. And when you listen to somebody long enough, you start using their expressions, and I hate it because I think it's patronising. But this person here, I actually think he's a good player. He just enjoys griefing people. He enjoys being a troll. Because I think I've seen that name before. I think I've seen it on either a tournament list or on the Book of the Guilty. So he's obviously really experienced with PvP. He just enjoys being a dick. And he's just summoned a phantom, and he's stood there with his great fag bow, which I'm having none of it this time. I'm not staying around for that bow. I'm going to lead him directly into these Silver Knights. And this is his friend. At first I thought it might have been a random, but he's a dude wearing full Black Knight or Silver Knight armour, and he's got a great axe. So I run straight in and I backstab. And oh, sorry, I run straight in and I do the Fire Tempest, or the Chaos Storm, should I say. And if you don't know what happened there, is some of the weapons on Dark Souls go through the wall, and that's what that axe just did. But it's too late for him, because this weapon with the Hornet's Ring does too much damage. So if I was better at parries, I could kill this guy, but unfortunately I suck at parries, and this guy doesn't, and he ends up parrying me. And I don't know if this parry is skill or luck, but you've got to give people props for landing them, because they're not easy to do. Like right there, if that was player versus environment, that was a parry. That was the second it's about to hit me. I mean, look at that. For him just then, on my screen, that looks like it was the second he was about to be hit by me. So to me, that looked like a good parry. But on his screen, he might have pressed parry like a second before that. You just don't really know. It's weird. I actually exchanged some words with this guy, because as you can tell, he didn't try to cheap shot me. He's actually here to fight. Personally, I don't understand dueling in Dark and Orlando, because I think it's dumb. The only people that like fighting here are people who play without lock-on, because the lock-on in Dark and Orlando, sorry, is really bad. You have to be almost touching a person to lock onto them. And this guy, I exchanged some messages with him because I was curious why he was here. You'll notice he's using a greatsword, and he's two-handing it quite a lot. And I managed to get a backstab on him then, because he has a lot of recovery for him. And right there, God, that's PvP all over. Swings his sword, nowhere near me, still take damage. That's a meme, that is. And he does the massive attack. I should have punished that with his backstab, but I was already in an animation of thrusting, so I kind of screwed it a little bit. And, this is this guy's first bout of PvPs, I think, because his buddy told him to kill Guinevere and PvP in this area because it'd be fun. And I just don't agree. But fair fight, good duel. The Hornet's Ring, though, I never really went into it. The Hornet's Ring basically makes critical hits even more critical, so parries and backstab become ridiculously powerful. The only problem with it is it gets to the point where people have kind of really took a stand against the ring. The community of, honor duel fighters doesn't like it because they think it's cheap. Backstabs are generally insta-kills, and you play against a lot of bad players that do nothing but fish for backstabs, so I can understand that frustration. I'm using it on this video because I'm wanting to practice parries, although unsuccessfully, and also I got into a lot of gank situations the last time I was in Anno Londo, and my backstabs just weren't doing enough. So the Hornet's Rings can sometimes, like you saw earlier against the Gold Phantom, this guy, because it's the same people, it can often even the playing field. So it's him and his buddy again. I start charging Chaos Storm and I hit them both as they come round the corner. I should have charged it again immediately, I just did, and that kills the host and gives me the victory. And yes, it's cheap as I punched that dude with the Pyromancy Flame, but that's the second time I've invaded that guy's world. That's the second time he's been a cheap bastard to me, and if you're going to be cheap, you're going to get the balls.